Here's my new 2D LED matrix panel with a digital microphone working and completed. Have it put in this little wood frame that I created, and it's all finally set up and working pretty darn well. Thought I'd share this with you and how I put it together. If you want to check this out, come along for the ride. Let's start off talking about all the parts I purchased and the tools I used. I will say that once I itemized all the parts, I was surprised to see that I spent a total of $82.89 on this entire project, which was a lot more than what I thought it was going to be when I first started out. All the frame supplies I purchased at Home Depot and Michael's supply store, and all the rest of the items I purchased on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below, and here's a list of miscellaneous tools I used that I already have in my workshop. For the frame assembly, I'll provide a high-level overview of what I did to make it. I first measured the matrix panel at 3 1/8 inches by 12 9/16 inches, and with the 1/8 inch groove offset that I needed for the plexiglass and to set the matrix LED panel into the frame, I did some quick math and determined that I needed 2 pieces at 13 5/16 and 2 pieces at 3 7/8 inches long. I used this inexpensive plastic miter box that I had and my handsaw to cut these 4 pieces to the size with the 45-degree angles needed. I did take my time and I made sure that these parts were cut exactly to the right size, and I tried to cut them as straight as possible. Next, I set up my homemade router table with a scrap piece of wood clamped down as a side guard so I could cut the groove inset into the frame sides. I used a 1/4 inch dual carbide router bit and set it to 1/8 inch by 1/2 inch deep. Then I carefully ran all 4 pieces through to cut the groove out. Then I took the 4 pieces and laid them all out on this green painter's tape and butted them tightly together. And then I put some wood glue on every joint and spread it out evenly with my finger. Then I simply folded each section up into the frame and then squared it up with my combination square and allowed it to dry for a couple hours. Once it was dry, I cut the plexiglass to size and the black backer panel and test fit it to make sure it fit with the LED matrix panel inside the frame. I also cut off the extra wires from the LED matrix panel, like the injection wires and the outbound wires, and put some protective Gorilla Tape over the top of them. Next, I gave it a couple of coats of the black paint on both sides and allowed it to dry well. Once the paint was done drying overnight, I again dry fit everything and connected the matrix panel from a previous ESP32 project I had so I could do an end-to-end test and ensure that everything was working properly before I started on the next part of the project with connecting the ESP32 and the digital mic. Next, this diagram is how I planned out wiring up the Room ESP32 D1 mini board to the INMP441 digital mic. This is just one example to follow, but you can connect the mic pins to any of the open GPIO pins of the ESP32 per this pinout diagram, and then you can configure WLD to tell it which pins you used. This wire diagram I used works, so if you wanted to follow it, I followed the instructions on the GitHub page for digital microphone hookup. The links listed in this diagram is where it says important in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'll also put a link to all of these important information pages in the description. Next, I'll show you how I soldered the mic to the ESP32. The first thing I did was connect all the colored wires to the digital microphone per the wiring diagram that I just showed you. I used the exact colors on the diagram so it was easy for me to follow and not make an easy mistake. Next, I tinned the wires and connected the power supply wires to the positive and negative ends that run both to the LED matrix and the 5-volt input to the ESP32 board. Then, I pushed the clear heat shrink over the positive and negative connections and heated them with my heat gun. Okay, so what we have so far is I have this wire loom created. This plugs into the power supply. which I have soldered into a couple of wires, which will go to the ESP32 board, and then the other end of this will go into the matrix panel. Then I have the digital microphone wired up and ready to go. All of this will then come together in this little box with the ESP32. It'll look something like this when we have it all wired together. It'll all come together like that and be a nice clean installation. So next step is to wire the digital mic and the positive and negative to the ESP32 board. So I'm just going to start off, I'm going to wire these directly to the board itself. So I'm just going to put a little solder bead on the VCC here and on the ground. Get that started. Get some little tweezers to hold hot things. Solder this wire, the VCC, to this post here. Something like that, very easy. And the ground goes right next to it. Can bend it out a little bit. Just get everything comfortable. Slow press, and we're good. Just like that. Do the same thing for the data wire. Perfect, just like that. Just pre-soldering the LR and the ground wire together. Then I'm going to connect both of these wires to the ground here as well. Probably use this ground over here since that one's kind of tight in that area over there. So we'll go ahead and create another spot here. There's 3 grounds on this board, and they all are common ground. I actually checked them all for continuity, so I'm sure of that. So far we have it looking like this. So got the green wire going out that side and got all the other wires coming out on the other side, and then continue down and finish soldering these together. Okay, next we're just going to put the 3 volt to the 3 volt. That's right here on the board. And then on my diagram, the orange wire goes to GPIO 14, which is on this board TMS. So put that on the outside one right there. So I'm gonna flip the board over and give that a quick solder. Let's do a quick solder. Here's the 3 volt. And here's GPIO 14. And let's get a little more on there. There we go, like that, looks good. WS wire goes to GPIO 15, and on this board it's just on the inside right down here, and then GPIO 32 is the 32. You can see it on the board there, but that's on the outside right there. Get it that tight little corner there. Easy. I think we got it. Okay, so what we have then, so I'm just wrapping myself around my little tool there. It's going to look like that. Can go inside this little board, fit in there like that, and then we'll be able to snap that together and make it look real nice. And now that I have it all wired up, I'm going to give it a kind of a test run here. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the LED matrix. Then I'm going to plug in my cable, micro USB cable, into this guy. Let's see, plug this thing into my laptop and install WLED on it, the Moon Modules one. I already have WLED version 0.14.0.b1 Hoshi. If you don't already have WLED installed, go to install.wled.me and install WLED first. From WLED, go into Config, Security and Updates, Manual Over-the-Air Update, and then navigate to your hard drive where you have downloaded the Moon's module bin file, and there's a link in the description below for that. Then select Update, and then it'll take a few minutes. Then it'll automatically reboot and come back to the main Moon's module version screen. Then go back into Config, go into LED Preferences, change the max amps to 1500 for 15 amps, verify it's set to 5 volt, change the length to 256, and the GPIO 16 is correct per our wiring diagram. Then select Save. Next, go into 2D configuration. Change the panel to 2D matrix, change the panel width to 32, the orientation to vertical, verify that it's on serpentine, and do the same at the bottom, change it to vertical and serpentine. Then click Save, go back to the main screen, and select Solid. And just like that, they all lit up, just like I was hoping they would. Okay, let's go back into Config, go down to the bottom, Audio Reactive, check Enable, Undefined for the analog mic, generic I2S is correct for the INMP441. Oh look, and it picked up the pins automatically. Pin 32, that is correct. Let's go look at my chart again. Chart has that correct, so I had 32, 15, 14, and we go back to WLED, 32, 15, 14. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's got that set up just the way it's supposed to. Change the profile from generic line in to INMP441, and then click Save. And now we're supposed to reboot the WLED. Go into Info, go to bottom Info, Reboot, Confirm, Rebooting. That was fast. Came back online there, waiting for the software to come back. And so it is in theory back. So let's take a look at the info. And auto reactive is enabled. Says that it's working properly. So let's go test an auto reactive one here. Let's find something like GQ here. And look, it's working just like it's supposed to. It's super sensitive too. Picks up every little subtlety of my voice, so whether I talk loud or whether I talk soft, it's just working exactly how it is supposed to. So great, we got it working just like that. Now the next step is just for me to button this all up and make it look nice and go install it and start using it. All right, let's just give one more look at this because I think it's a pretty of a neat neat way to go. You can see all the wires, how I had them. If you look at the wiring diagram I had, you can see where they go exactly and how I did it. And it'll go something like this so that all these wires come out. And then of course I'll go plug this into the big power supply and remove the little micro USB from here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Remove the micro USB, fit in here with all those wires coming out there. Let's just see in real life what happens here. That'll fit the way I think it should. The way I hope it was going to. Okay, no problem there. Get that all buttoned up nice. Okay, what's holding that up over on that end? What's happening? What's happening here? That looks nice. Is those black wires in my way, perhaps? They might be. Yeah, that might have been where a little oversight. I did not see that coming. So if I move it down further like this so it's not in the way, that might do the trick. Yep, that's gonna do her for sure. There we go. Okay, nice and neat, solid, put together. Looks pretty good. I might put some black tape or something around that. Might make it look nicer. But that's where we are. Have it all together. One more final view. Kind of show you how it all looks here. On the back side, all we have is just that one little connection. And all I have to do is go plug this in and figure out how I'm going to wire this so that it can hear the sound well. Okay, here's what I've decided. I'm going to do something like this that will allow that microphone to come out. Somehow I might get maybe a piece of Velcro and place this on the back, and then this will go out the back. So when it sits up, this sits up like this, and this will come out like that when it's in the cabinet, and you won't see it. All right, here's what I found I'm going to do. I use some of this mounting putty, just supposed to go on the back pictures and things like that to keep them straight. I'm just going to put a little dab of it on the back side of this thing, something like that. This should work. Just kind of keep that in place. Kind of keeps it up off the bottom there. Tuck those in. I think that's it. Just something like that. Super simple. I can easily pull that off if I need to. Repurpose it if I decide to do a different project with it. Whatever I want to do. Okay. Now, back into the house and install all this and see if it works properly. So here's what I'm thinking. So just got that plugged in. That all tucked in like that. Gonna leave that little mic tucked in like that. If I scoot it in there like that a little bit, you can't see it, but it's just sticking up like that. If you get down real low, you can kind of see in there, but get that all centered in there about like that. Yeah, looks about right. So let's go turn it on. So what I have in the back is this is plugged into a smart plug, the 15 amp thing is, and when I turn my television on, my smart home automatically turns on with the TV and the stereo, turns on the smart switch, which controls that and turns that on. Cool. So far, so good. Okay, let's turn the brightness down a little bit. It's really bright. I like it way down low, honestly. Like something like that, even. And then my favorite is this GQ, and it seems to be working just fine with my voice, so that's good. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Probably go pick a different, like this fairy leaf. There we go, perfect. That's the way I want it, just like that. So I'm going to add a preset for this, and I'm going to call it TV Matrix. And I'm going to save that to ID 1. And then I'm going to go back into LED preferences, go down here and say when it reboots, automatically apply preset 1. And I'm going to make the color or the brightness, say 90. Sounds about right. Okay, so now in theory, if I turn off the whole television, it'll turn off my smart plug and turn off the WLED matrix, which everything did what it was supposed to do. So it's not working anymore. You can see it's not working with my voice. So let's turn it back on. Okay, and then it automatically reset and went to the preset that I like and automatically worked just the way I want it. So that's it. It's working and functional and going to stay here until probably the holiday season when I decide to do something different with it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. You can always change your mind later.